So a while back, I built a new gaming PC with, at the time, the brand new O11 Dynamic Mini from Lian-Li, which, if you don't know, is a popular take of the O11 Dynamic, just a little bit smaller, hence the name Mini. It's a pretty cool case with a unique modular design around the backside, which just allows you to move the panels around and pretty much fit any type of motherboard in there. You can fit E80X, M80X, or just ATX. The only thing you can't really put in there is E80X. So all of the panels around the backside move around, and that's a pretty cool idea, but that does mean one thing: you can't just go out and buy any vertical mount for your GPU if you're trying to vertically mount it. You do need to buy Lian-Li's own vertical mount bracket, which I learned the hard way. I went out and bought the Fantex vertical mounting bracket for my PC, and it's just not compatible with this case at all, which was a little bit of a pain. So if you are trying to vertically mount something in this case, you do need to go out and buy Lian-Li's own O11 MINI vertical mounting kit, which is what we're going to be looking at today. By the way, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, we're closing in on 1,500 subscribers, which is crazy. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing, we got a lot more PC content coming pretty soon. So make sure you hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss those. And to those of you that have already subscribed, huge thank you. 1,300 subscribers is absolutely crazy, so thank you. But let's get straight into it. So obviously this is a completely aesthetic upgrade for your PC. It makes very minimal difference to the thermals and to the performance of your PC, which we'll get into in just a little bit. But if you do have a little bit of money laying around and you've got this case, this is a cool upgrade that you can do to your PC that just fills out the space at the bottom of that case, because it does look kind of empty. Even with that mini case and the motherboard going all the way to the bottom of the case is just a little bit too empty for my liking. So I decided to get this and fill out that space at the bottom. So this bracket comes in two different variants, PCIe 3.0 and 4.0. So obviously, depending on your graphics card and the rest of your system, make sure you get the right one. And if you're having troubles getting black screens when you plug in your graphics card in, you probably just need to change it in your BIOS. So let me know down below if you need the video on this, but basically you just plug your card in straight into the motherboard without the riser cable, and change it in your BIOS, and then plug the riser cable in, and you should be fine. So if you're having any troubles with black screens, it's probably that, but let me know down below and I'll try and help you if you need a video on that. So the bracket itself is pretty high quality. I was pretty impressed with this, to be honest. There's a metal plate on the bottom, and that metal plate's got holes in the bottom so the air can be pushed through from the fans below it. You get enough space for a 3-slot card in here, which is great for those new 30 series cards, because some of them are really thick. My little 2060 card sits quite far back. It looks a bit silly, to be honest, with me little 2060 card. But I feel like when I upgrade it and I don't have to remortgage my house to get a new graphics card, it'll look pretty cool with a bigger, chunkier card in there. So we do have plenty of room for those bigger cards. So if you're like me and you've already built your PC and you're getting this after you've built your PC, you don't need to worry about taking your motherboard and taking your PC apart to squeeze this in. With a little bit of wiggling and a tiny bit of force, you're able to just slot this panel in the back without having to take the motherboard out. I thought that I'd have to take all my motherboard out, all the fans out, but with a little bit of wiggling you are able to get this in without taking your motherboard out, which is great. Once the actual panel's in the back, it's pretty easy for the rest of your graphics card. It's just screws in the back and make sure that the riser cable is connected to the PCIe slot on the bottom. So like I said, this is a completely optional upgrade for your PC. For me, I just love how it looks. I love how it fills out that space in the bottom of your PC, and I know that when I do upgrade my GPU, it'll look even better. It's going to look so sick once I've got a big fat GPU in there. The good thing about this bracket is it forces your card to sit quite far back, almost up against the motherboard, which is great because I know for some vertical mounting kits they put them too close to the glass and the fans on the front of the card will just get pushed up right up against the glass, and it really can affect thermals then. But the good thing about this is there's plenty of space. There's a big cushion of air all around the GPU. There's plenty of air for the GPU to breathe. So just from glancing at my AIO screen, where I can see the temperatures of my GPU and my CPU, I kind of remember at idle when I was at my desktop or on Google or something, my GPU would usually be sat around 40, maybe mid 40s, but now it tends to be, like right now it's 36 and I'm just on my desktop. It seems to be a little bit lower. I don't know if that's just me remembering wrong, but just from memory it seems to actually be a little bit lower when it's mounted vertically. So it might actually be worth doing if it does improve performance. Maybe I'll do some testing with and without, because I know that is often one of the downsides of vertically mounting, that it can affect your thermals. But the great thing about this is Lian-Li have designed it in a way that it works for this case, so it makes the card sit quite far back, which is great because it doesn't really affect thermals too much. So some things to note about this bracket: it does sit quite far up and it actually covers like almost the bottom half of my RAM, which kinda sucks, but I guess it's fine. Also the tubes from my AIO lean against my graphics card because it's that far back, which is not a massive deal really, but I guess if the graphics card gets hot it'll heat up the liquid inside the cooler, and it's probably not the best for CPU temperatures, but I can always move it if it affects it too much. So I might end up rotating my cooler, but it's nothing huge. One other thing to note about this is there's actually a gap at the top of the bracket and where the fan sits above it. I don't know if there's just something that's to cover this, but it's just weird the way they've left a big massive gap. Obviously we need the gap to put the screws in, but I don't know if there's a little cover or anything to screw over that gap. But to me it just seems a little bit weird the way they've left the gap that big. But overall it was a pretty easy process to get it installed and set up. I will have links down below in the description if you're interested in any pricing for this. I'll have PCIe Gen 3.0 and 4.0, I'll have them both down there. I think that the vertical mounted GPUs look so cool in this case, they look great. And if you are thinking about getting this and you do end up picking one up, send me a picture over on Twitter, it's TechFlix9. And in my next PC related video I might include some of your builds in the video just for fun. So send them over on Twitter, tag me in them, whatever, and maybe I'll throw some of them in my next video. If you do have any questions, shoot them down below and I will try and get back to you. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great and it'd really help me out. And drop a comment with your PC specs or your dream PC specs. If you're thinking about getting a PC, drop a comment with your specs, let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.